This is really one of the biggest turnarounds in New York sports. I really mean that. I really feel that. I really believe that. And I think to appreciate where St. John's is right now, you had to have taken stock of where they had, like what they had been relegated to, and the business of college basketball just passed them by. They had no feel for how to operate within, big budgets and booming conferences and everything that changed from the 80s when you could be a little bit of a mom and pop operation and still hold the keys to the city and still win and still pump out first round picks. St. John's basically was on the side of the road with a with a blown tire or two, trying to jack the car up, watching everybody zoom by the highway as they made money, as they built new buildings, as they put new banners into the ceiling. And as I've said many times, I didn't really think that this could happen again. I never gave up hope because, if you abandon it, just the way I'm wired, to abandon hope with anything, just not who I am. But like inside it really felt dead. And if it didn't quite feel dead, I certainly felt and saw that it was reduced to just a pile of dust, a once proud franchise that completely lost its way and was shoved out of the way. Really, just amazing.
Yeah, I guess I never thought I would see it either because I didn't live through the 80s the way that you did. I wasn't into it back then, but also, the Big East was different. So there's a lot of circumstance that led us to where we are. The Big East has gotten softer. It's not a knock on St. John's, it's just reality. Mm-hmm. Like the conference is not what it once was. Pitino coming here, like nobody, I don't think, could have seen that being the case. You just happened to get into a spot where a coach of that caliber, maybe the greatest coach of all time, was available because of the circumstances that he had prior. He comes here, and it's been the perfect storm, pun intended. And for me, BT, just to spin it forward here as we get excited about the tournament, I was locked in a Selection Sunday, and we can talk about that and get into some of the details, finding out where, of course, they reveal that one last, like finding out who they play, where they play, and all that stuff. But for me, I don't think... Like obviously, if getting beat by a 15 seed would be bad, but even if they lost in the first round, and Coach Pitino said it with us, he said in other spots, hey, we could go to the Final Four, we could lose in the first round based on matchups, this or that. I wouldn't expect that, but even if they did, I think this season was so magical and so perfect in putting them on the map that even if they lost in the first round, I'm okay with this season overall for St. John's.
You're okay with it. St. John's fans wouldn't be okay with it. And I know you're supporting the team. I'm talking about, the fans. No, you got to win. You got to win here. And I don't mean you have to go to...
Okay, but then why not just say, well, they got to get to the Final Four?
Well, because...
Like, fans are not going to be happy until they win the championship. I'm talking about their season. Like, obviously, anybody would be upset if they lost. I'm saying the season, I would deem it a rounding success. Whatever you want to say, how you want to describe it. It would be a great success even if they lost in the first round, to me.
Yeah, no, I got you. I think it would be completely... It would suck the life out of the season, but it wouldn't change the future. And I think those are two very different things. St. John's has to beat Omaha, and they will. And then you see who's waiting. Is it Kansas or it's Calipari? I mean, that's going to get a little spicier here. But, St. John's, to me... You've got to punctuate this season with a win. At least one. You absolutely have to win because the thing that's really, how many times have you heard the last time St. John's won?
Yeah.
I mean, there's always been points of reference this year. Last time they started this, last time they were ranked inside the top 15, the top 10, win the Big East championship, so on and so forth, that it's been an amazing ride. But for this group that's been so connected and so dominant for so long, you cannot lose the first game.
I guess
you can't.
I guess my point is, well, they won the Big East regular season. They won the Big East tournament. They got to the tournament. They're a 2 seed. What's the difference if they lost in the first round or the second round? Like, I mean, okay, winning a game you're supposed to win, two seed versus 15. It happens. Upsets happen all the time. It wouldn't take away from the tremendous accomplishment in year 2. And by the way, it doesn't mean in year 3 they're going to have the same success in the regular season. Maybe next year they win the Big East regular season but lose in the tournament, but go further in the NCAA tournament. Yep. So there are a lot of layers to this thing. Nothing they could do would hurt, to me, the impact that they had, the success that they had this season.
Yeah, I think I'd love to know Rick's honest answer about that. I don't know. I mean, Rick has been... The other thing, too, that you got this year from St. John's, which as the weeks, certainly the months have gone on here, and we all, if you're old enough, you know what the team means to the city. We all know that. We all know the names. We've said it a million times. But I think what really has added to the joy of this season has been the transparency and, the fact that St. John's is guided by an A-lister. You know what I mean? So
Right.
that's why the future is so bright regardless of what happens the first game. Now, if I pull off the headsets on Thursday night, it's going to be a late tip too, with Mink, and they lose to Omaha, it's going to, certainly in the moment, it's going to feel like it was less than.
Right.
Yeah, it would be less than at that point. But I think that in like overall, I think that St. John's right now is so set up to be so good for so long. Don't subvert that by losing early. I know what you mean. 2:15, things happen. Doesn't necessarily change the future. I get it, and I hear it from your perspective. For the St. John's fan that has been foaming at the mouth for this, and let me take a step back. Saturday night, I remember. God, I guess it was '87, the year that Mark Jackson won the Rookie of the Year at the Knicks. There was a VHS tape that came out, the history of the Knicks, right? That I used to watch over and over and over in the basement. And Marv Albert at one point says, sometimes when I'm doing a big game, because the Knicks had been down for a while, obviously, and then they were just kind of coming up here in '87, I would take the headset off, and this is at the arena, and just kind of listen to the crowd. And based on how it met my ear, I can tell if the Knicks were real or if they weren't. And the crazy thing about doing these games is because, you have headsets on and, you're kind of locked in your own world. Whatever. I took the headsets off, right, just a little bit, just to soak it in. Sal, I think I've done hundreds of games there. It felt different. And when it sounds that different, you cannot lose on Thursday. You can't do it. Got to win.
But why not? Look at the expectations.
You got to win.
Yeah, but look at what if they don't?
Well, if they don't, the season's over.
Okay, but
it leaves St. John's fans with a different feeling.
Did anybody? I don't remember any St. John fans. They could hope. I don't remember St. John fans calling saying St. John's was going to win the Big East. They were going to win the Big East tournament the way that they did. They dominated the Big East this year. They dominated in the Big East tournament. Those are things. So the expectation changes. I get it. I mean, you just saw that happen with the Mets a year ago. It happens a lot. So the expectations change in season, and I know right now it's unfathomable to think if they lost. And by the way, I don't think they're going to lose in the first round. But if they did, the head coach himself said it. So forget whether you're a St. John's fan, whether you're a broadcaster, the head coach himself said we could go to the Final Four, we could lose in the first round. I'm just saying that I think they've accomplished so much already, putting themselves on the map, not just in this town, which we know how big of a story they've become here over the last several weeks, and obviously putting themselves on the map this season, but also nationally in number 2, and looking to take that step forward as a program next year, number 3. They can't shoot. I mean, they can't shoot the 3. They can't shoot free throws. They have a lot of weaknesses that have been overlooked or have been overcome because of their intensity, because of their defense, which is just a suffocating defense. You mentioned it many times. I saw it up close and in person on Friday night. We've watched this team. You could see it. So they have strengths, but I'm not going to sit here and say, like, if you're going to come on the air on Friday, if they lose Thursday night in that first round and be like, oh, what a disaster. I'm not saying you.
No, not a disaster. Yeah, good.
Well,
yeah.
But
not a disaster.
But is that what the St. John's fan is going to?
I don't know. I don't know. I think that it would. And again, even if I think that feeling would dissipate fast because they know how bright the future is. But you got to bag a win. You got to get at least one. Keep it going.
And and just for me, just to reiterate, like getting to the Final Four would be great. Getting the Elite Eight, okay, those things. That would be, you could feel how impactful that would be. I don't feel a difference if they won the first game, which everybody expects them to win anyway, and then lost to, say, Coach Cal in round 2. To me, that would be just as disappointing as they lost in the first round. But either way, I mean, look at what St. John's has accomplished this year. It has been tremendous. BT and Sal on the Fan, our friends at Town Fair Tire, remind you that at Town Fair Tire, you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Josh is in Queens. What's up, Josh?
Good morning, boys. Happy Monday. Sal, as always, you have zero pulse of St. John's basketball. They have to win this week. They have to win the first round. They have to win.
I'm not gonna sit here and tolerate the disrespect like that. You can't say that I have no pulse as a sports fan. I've worked in New York. I've lived in New York my entire life. I understand the New York sports fan better than anybody. That's number one. So, and it's not about the St. John's fan. I'm telling you what I think. So obviously St. John's fans are going to be disappointed if they lose the first round. Obviously. Like, that goes without saying. You should know that. What I'm saying is if they do, it to me still doesn't hurt the greatness of their season, regular season or even in tournament.
Yeah, and I'm starting to look at Omaha, right? I honestly, I don't even know anything about them. And it's going to be interesting. They got a couple of kids who could shoot. They got a lot of seniors, whatever. But, dude, their defense, I've never seen defense like this.
Right.
And I know that they've got weaknesses. Trust me, I know as well as anybody. I personally think that the weaknesses are a little oversold. I think when you look at the bottom line stats, I think that they've certainly gotten better as the years gone on. But whatever, we'll find out. You either make them or you don't, and you either move on or you don't. But like what they do so well, that's why I think that they've got a chance to. They got a chance to go far. I mean, I definitely think they can go far. When they switch, like a lot of teams like to switch, right? When you're playing defense, switch, go through a screen, whatever, switch. But St. John's has so many guys that are 6'7", 6'8", and Zuby does this. Zuby can hang with a point guard. Zuby can drop back and hang with a 5. And they've got that's the specialness of their defense. It's not just that they play hard and they're tough. Like, if you want to know exactly, I don't take for granted that everybody who's kind of jumping in a little late, which I get, knows why St. John's is special. And I can tell you about Hart and the other things you can't quantify. That's the quantifiable thing that they do great. They switch as well as anybody. And when you switch and you got long bodies on shooters, you're not comfortable. Yeah. It's insane.
And they, to me, have answered so many questions. We talk about the regular season, the game in stores against UConn. And that was like, wow, man, they won again. And some of the performances. Friday night, to me, more impressive even than Saturday. I wasn't there. I had some stuff going on that I couldn't go. We could get into that later. But I know you were obviously there for all of them. But Friday night, down big, early. And you're thinking, okay, here we go again. They'll get back in the second half. It didn't even take them to the second half to get back against Marquette with that suffocating defense. And really, to me, that was the turning point. Like, once they did that against a tough Marquette team, we thought going in like, hey, this could be a good challenge. I mean, their defense is second to none. So you could talk about the better defenses in the league. We're going to find out how St. John's defense prevails in the tournament, how it matches up. But for me, either way, BT, think about where the program was coming in, the expectations coming in. I know they change in season to where it is right now. I just don't think anything could take away from the success of the season. The fact that we're even talking about St. John's and how relevant they are and looking forward to next year, this season set the path moving forward regardless of the result in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, listen, it definitely set a different course of a future here, but you still have to beat who you're supposed to beat. And we'll see what happens, and I think that they'll win. But you know what it is? St. John's fans they've been lusting for, just being mixed in with the big boys, okay? And if you get to that second game and it's either Kansas, who's had kind of an odd season, or Arkansas with Calipari, and, whatever happened, and I can still make the case, like I still think they're supposed to win that, but I won't do that now. I want to take one at a time. You want to be, it's so hard to verbalize it. You want to be on the floor with people that you've watched forever, and when I say watch forever, I mean on the sidelines watching, St. John's fans over the years, they don't stop watching the NCAA tournament. They don't stop watching the Big East tournament. They just watch UConn and other teams cut down nets, and it's very frustrating. So I think I know the St. John's fan base pretty well. They would be devastated with a loss. Yeah, they'd wake up the next day and say, we're still good. We got Rick. They ain't losing.
Jordan is calling from Baldwin. What's up, Jordan?
Hey, Jordan.
BT, Sal, what's going on? Good to talk to you again, BT.
What's
How are
up,
you doing,
buddy?
Sal?
What's up, Jordan?
Love the show, guys. Sal, love your energy. I just have to say, I appreciate your view from an outside New York sports fan because I love talking about the Johnnies on the radio. I just have to say, and I know you talked about the guy, your objective. I want to talk about from my point of view from St. John's. I'm not cool with just winning the Big East championship in the regular season. I want to make sure that we're here and we set a mark. Like BT said, we still got Rick and we're good. But I want it all. And I know it's greedy, and I know that's just coming from a sports fan. But, I feel like our weaknesses, our strengths definitely outplay our weaknesses. Like, we have the second best defense in this league. Our the way we gel, Zuby, he's a force in the middle. So I just feel like, we can go as far as we can. Omaha, we have to win that game. Kansas, Zuby potential revenge game. He hasn't played a lot there, but let's see what we can do. And the Calipari and Pitino storyline, nothing can get better than this. This is March. Let's go, Johnnies. Let's get a run here. And BT, fire me up. And Sal, I'd love to have you on board. I want you as a diehard fan. I know you're a Mets fan. We could deal with that, but let's go, Johnnies. Come on, baby.
You got
I
it,
love
Jordan.
talking to you
We appreciate the energy. Let me just be clear. This to me it's the same way I would approach any other team. Like, it's never about for me. I can't speak for BT or anybody else. It's not from a perspective of a fan. I am not a fan here. Like, yeah, of course we're all sports fans, but when I give you my opinion, it has nothing to do with fandom. I'm rooting for St. John's, maybe not as much as BT or anybody else because you guys may be invested in it, but of course I root for St. John's. I'm just talking about sports. That's it. To me, the conversation is about, will this season be a disappointment if they lose? By the way, forget even the first round. You want to say in the second round? Because is that going to be good? Are St. John fans going to be happy with losing in the second round? The answer is no, they're not. Like, they're not going to be happy with that. So, okay, well, you just heard Jordan right there say they want it all. So it has nothing to do with from a fan's point of view. I just respect the opinion of Jordan saying he would not be happy if they lost the first round of the season. That's fine. That's the conversation.
Can you give him a worse time too? Why not put him on 11? Why not put him on after Jimmy Fallon? I mean, 9:45.
I mean, I don't. It's just too late for you?
I mean, how many kids are watching that? I know that's not necessarily the networks, and that's something that, by the way, applies to the World Series over the years, the NBA Finals. I get it; they don't care about kids. But one of the things to me that's been so satisfying is that there's there's been two generations, because based on the time frame, not one, there's been two generations of St. John's fans or potential diehard St. John's fans that have been completely glossed over of anything remotely connecting itself to the past here. And I saw so many kids at the Garden over the weekend, and so many kids at the Garden this year. It's been a reignition of passion, the flame, and it's just, by the way, 9:45 does not mean 9:45 because there's a game before it, and then obviously it's going to be 10:10, whatever. I already told my wife, kids ain't going to school Friday. They're not going to school. Like, you could take them at noon. They are staying up, and they are sleeping in, and they are watching that game. But even forget about that, Sal. Forget about me and my family. If I ran a network, right, and you've got the New York market, why would you not put this on at 7:30 at night?
Yeah, I mean,
to maximize the ratings.
Seem a little late for me. I mean, I'm not doing the game, so it doesn't really impact me either way. I just get into these tournament games. They're on all sorts of times, but yeah, I mean, I guess that's
weird.
Yeah. All right, BT and Sal on the Fair. We'll continue with the conversation with the Johnnies. 888-808